here, the Scrapbooking Photographer. Welcome to my channel and thanks for stopping by. Today is Tuesday inspiration time, and this week the inspiration comes from Jen from Kaezmum. This is what she's given us. It's getting a bit cooler where Jen comes from, and unlike this side of the world that's warming up, she's cooling down and starting to look forward to these winter soups. So the inspiration this week has led me to our own pumpkin soup, which doesn't look quite as scrumptious as the one in the inspiration photo, but we did make some beautiful homemade bread to go with it, and it was lovely with butter dripping off it. And what makes it even better is that we grow our own pumpkins. So this was the beginning of our pumpkin patch when they were starting to vine, and when we first brought it in and when we cut it. Now, there is another photo of this pumpkin open. Do you think I could find it? It should have been right next to it in the folder of photos, but it wasn't. So since I've had these printed, I've found it. So I'll get it printed and swap it out, I think, for one of those next week. But anyway, back to the inspiration. Tuesday's inspiration is shared between myself and Jen, who's inspiring us this week. And we also have Mel from Mel W Scrapping and Hollie from Ivy Cole Creations. And we're also teaming this up with day 21 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life. And I'll pop a link below to that playlist where there'll be lots of other pages done with the same sketch. And I'll obviously link the Tuesday Inspiration playlist as well, and any social media bits that I can find. So let's get on with it. I've got a white base so that I can leave that big white frame that Jackie has left on hers. I'm bringing in some early espresso from Stampin Up and some pumpkin pie. Now I brought pumpkin pie in because it goes with this paper, which is actually an old Close to My Heart paper, but my soup is not that colour, so I'm also bringing in a little bit of this colour from Stampin Up, which is a solid piece of cardstock, and it kind of blends in with some of those other colours. What else have we got here? The film strips, I don't have any that will be big enough. I could cut them on my Cricut, but I thought I would use these. These came in a bundle from Tanya Lee Designs, which I get each month, so I'm going to use some of them today as well. And I've got a few stickers and things to finish up with. So settle in and let's see how we go. So because my photo is landscape and not portrait, I'm going to twist the sketch a little bit, but only the front part. So I quite like the downward stripes in the back. So I'm going to have the early espresso and then that pumpkin pie, and then a wider piece of the pumpkin paper. So we'll cut those up first to get a nice wide frame around the outside. It means that everything has to be cut down. So I'll start with the early espresso. So I put that in the trimmer and I cut an inch off 2 sides. Now I really only need to cut it off one side because in the end I only need a strip. So I trim it down to 2 inches wide, and then I can put it on the right hand side of the white base, and that's where I'll start coming inwards with the different coloured papers. I'll do the same with the pumpkin pie and take an inch off 2 sides, which again I didn't need to, but then I'll trim that down to about 3 inches just to give a little bit more. You can see there I'm just showing the 2 sides of the pumpkin pie. That's the beauty of this two-tone paper from Stampin Up. But I decided to go with the light side because it kind of works better with that paper from Close to My Heart. And that's the next paper I trimmed down, so I put that in and have finally figured out that I only need to take an inch off the top and then cut it down to 6 inches wide for that wider piece in the middle, and then I can bring a smaller piece of the early espresso in on the left hand side, and that completes the background papers all lined up. So I can stick all of them together and make sure they're all even, and then pop them down on the white base, and that gives us a nice 1/2 inch wide frame of white all around the outside. And the 3 photos that are going down the side in the film strip, I'll mount onto this pumpkin-y coloured paper or cardstock. And the film strips obviously aren't that wide, so what I'm going to do is cut them in half. And you'll see me here just fiddling with the height of it and deciding whether it's going to fit with the black in between or not. And in the end, I go with it being clear in between because it's obviously not going to reach across anyway. So I'll trim just the top off so that we haven't got any black stripes across the top, and then cut it in half lengthways, and then I can stick it on to that mounting cardstock. One side of this film strip is got notches on it and the other side hasn't, so I do want to make sure that I keep it the right way round when I do the bottom one as well and have those notches on the left. And then it's just a matter of doing the same thing with the bit that's going down the bottom and measuring that to size, and then arranging the photos between the left and the right and getting the spacing right. And I really want the film strip bit to be buffed right up to the side of the photo because the lines that go in from that part don't go the full way across, so we don't want to see any part of them. So I'll just fiddle about there and get that stuck in so that we can then trim the mounting cardstock to the right shape. And I love the way this is coming together. The garden's really producing well with these pumpkins, so it's nice to be able to bring them inside and make some soup out of them. I'm not sure if Hollie will get to do a layout this week because she's still moving house, but I wonder what Jen and Mel will do with this inspiration. I actually saw a layout of Mel's not so long ago that was using some of these pumpkin papers, and it made me realise that it would be a great background for a layout on pumpkin soup, so this inspiration was great timing for me. We always get pages of a pumpkin in the autumn packs, and in New Zealand we don't have a great pumpkin season and do all the fancy things with them that they do in the US, but we do grow them in the garden and they look really cool growing and they taste really yum when we bring them inside. Anyway, I'll link the playlist down below and you can have a look through and see what the others come up with this inspiration. So these three pictures are now all mounted on that cardstock and the film strip. So I'll just trim them down so that we get a little bit of that pumpkin colour on each side, but I'll take the top and the bottom off to the bottom of the photos. And then we can bring them into the page and they sit nicely on that early espresso on the left, just overlap onto the pumpkin papers. And then the bigger picture of pumpkin soup and bread, that bread was divine actually when we made it. And I'll mount that on the same coloured cardstock and slot it in underneath as per the sketch. And bring a couple of other small pieces in just to fan out above it. One early espresso, add another one of the pumpkin pie, which is the more orangey two-tone colour from Stampin' Up. So I've got those there now, and I'll bring in the title, which I've cut out on my Cricut machine. I've done 2 copies of it, one in the early espresso and one in the pumpkin-y colour. And I've made them both the same size and stacked them but slightly off centre. So the early espresso coming out underneath is a little bit like a shadow, but it's a shadow that matches the colour in the background, so it all kind of ties together. And I'll use my tape runner just to pop it all onto the page, but I did stick the 2 stacks together with a little bit of liquid glue. So once they're down, I could bring in a couple of stickers from the sticker sheet that was in the autumn pack. And this one's a bit redder than any of our pumpkins, but I'll bring a little bit of that colour in up the top as well. This other lighter one fits in nicely here, and that's the beauty of using the tape runner on the bottom of those letters, because I can just lift them slightly to slot them in. And there's also a couple of little mushrooms there, so I'll pop them down there just to finish up that bottom corner. And up the top, I'll use a few of the words to fill in that blank. One of them will be that red colour just to balance with the red of the pumpkin down the bottom. And that will be about it. I don't think this page needs any bling particularly. I think it's got enough going on there and enough colours, and those pumpkins are really cool in the background. So I'm really happy with the way this has come out. I hope you've enjoyed watching it come together, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please push that button. I'd love to have you come along on the journey and join us all in this scrapbooking fun. So that's it today for my day 21 of 30 days of sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life and our Tuesday inspiration. Thanks so much for watching, and happy crafting, everyone.